I am live. I am live. What a night. What a night of boxing. These are the nights that I love. When you have everything on the line, you have a guy in Kambosos who doesn't agree with the narrative coming in, does not agree with the narrative coming in. Undervalued as a fighter. Like I said it, you can go back and watch the video earlier this week. Trap fight. This had trap fight written all over it. This was Danny Garcia versus Mauricio Herrera. When Danny Garcia knocks out Matisse, he's on top of the world. He starts, just believing in himself, which is good, but hyping him up a little too much, too high, goes down to Puerto Rico. Herrera puts a boxing lesson on him. Luckily for Danny Garcia, he gets a gift decision, and I thought that's what was going to come when the scorecards were read. I was ready for a gift decision for Teofimo Lopez. Luckily, the judges got this right, and boxing did it right tonight. What a night, and what a fight. Shout out JC in the building. Yeah, man, this Kambosos is not the type of guy you sleep on. You do not sleep on that guy. Trap fight. This was a trap fight. Coming off the big win against Lomachenko last year, special performance for Teofimo last year. Okay, so you take this mandatory with Kambosos. He's sandwiched in between that win and then them talking about Haney, them talking about Josh Taylor. They're talking about other things before they handle what's in front of them. Kambosos. And when I saw, shout out to Marion Brown in the building, and I can't take credit for calling the result because I thought that Teofimo was going to have trouble early, but then Kambosos was going to walk into something. Like when he walked into that shot in the 10th round, I said, okay, there it is. There it is. Teofimo is about to get him out of there. There it is. This is what I was expecting. Kambosos was going to be in the fight, was going to give Teofimo a lot of trouble early in the fight. I expected Teofimo to look past Kambosos. And Kambosos is not the type of guy you look past because he's a volume puncher. He's going to get in your chest. He has a good chin. All of the things that was going to give Teofimo problems because, and then before I get to that, when he walked into that shot in the 10th round and he was standing right in front of Teofimo Lopez, once again, man, Teofimo Lopez showed they were a mess tonight. Teofimo and his dad were a mess tonight. Teofimo had a shot at getting Kambosos out of there. And instead of touching him up, setting up a big shot, he starts throwing the arm punches again. He starts to throw the butterbean arm punches and trying to get Teofimo get Kambosos out of there that way. When instead he should have been touching him up and waiting for that big shot to present itself because Kambosos was right directly in front of him and he was out of it. I don't care what Kambosos said after the fight. He was out of it in the 10th round. And Teofimo Lopez let him off the hook. And it was weird to watch because Teofimo Lopez is a great finisher. But he just lost it in the 10th round. He just, I don't know what he was thinking. He just was, and then he would go in the corner in between every single round. And his dad is giving him awful instructions, just awful instructions. It's not surprising to me that Teofimo Lopez invaded Kambosos, his post-fight interview after the fight and saying he believed he won the fight by a wide margin because every single round he would go to the corner and his dad said, you got that round. You won that round. You won that round. And he wasn't winning any of those rounds, any of them. I had Kambosos up wide through 8 rounds. And then I had Teofimo Lopez put together 3 really good rounds. It was 8, 9, 10, I believe. And then he knocked them down in the 10th round. And then all of a sudden, here comes Kambosos again in round 11. Right back. And then in round 12, he does what Teofimo did to Lomachenko last year. He says, no. This isn't going to be your night. I'm not leaving this up. I'm putting my foot on the pedal in this 12th round. I'm going to win this round and I'm going to win the fight. He did the very same thing that Teofimo did to Lomachenko in the 12th round last year. But I couldn't get over the corner instructions from Teofimo's dad. It's like, no, dude, tell him he's got to step on it. Tell him he's losing these rounds because he's clearly losing these rounds. And I didn't agree with Chris Mannix's scorecards. By the way, I had the fight 115, 111 for Kambosos. I had it 59-54 through 6 rounds, and then 69-63, and then I believe 79-72. Yeah, 69-63. And then that's when Teofimo started to get it together for 3 rounds and then got the 10-8 round to get the scorecard closer. I think I had it 95-93 after 10. And then Kambosos got 11 and 12 and ended up winning by 4 points. But just when Teofimo Lopez came out at the beginning of the fight, he ran to the ring and then he starts throwing these haymakers in the first round. I call them the butterbean arm punches, where he's just trying to throw those haymakers and land those haymakers. And Kambosos was taking them well. I said, this is not good. This is not good for Lopez, because you saw for Lopez that what he envisioned this fight, the game plan coming in was to get this guy out of there early. And when you saw Kambosos taking those shots fine, you say, uh-oh. Teofimo's expending a lot of energy here. So if Kambosos continues to take these shots well, round after round after round, this is going to go well for Kambosos. And then he went in the corner. He's throwing these haymakers right out the gate. Horrible game plan. And then he goes to the corner and his dad's yelling at him to get this guy out of there. I just didn't like that instruction. To me, it's throw the jab, be patient, let the big shot present itself, and get this guy out of there. But in the meantime, box, because you're a good technical boxer at the same time. But that was not the game plan at all. They say they spent $250,000 on this training camp. What did they spend it on? What did they spend it on? Did they spend it on strength and conditioning? Okay, so hire a new strength and conditioning coach, by the way. Number one. And number two, if you're Teofimo Lopez, which he's not going to do, you need to watch this fight and say, my dad was not giving me good instructions in between rounds. I mean, to me, it was awful. Awful instructions in between rounds. I mean, I couldn't get over it. I'm watching the fight. I'm like, what fight is he watching? Let me get to some of these comments. Shout out to everybody in the comments section. Teofimo was so greedy. He won a KO in the first round, but Kambosos was so patient. That's what I'm talking about. It's the trap fight mentality. This is what happens in sports. It's not just boxing. You get a big win, and then you're already looking forward to big matchups in the future. And sandwiched in between this, you have this guy that's overlooked, overvalued. I'm watching the betting odds go through the screen on DAZN each round, and it was like the 9th round, and they still had Kambosos as the betting underdog through 9 rounds. And I'm seeing people on Twitter scoring rounds for Lopez, and I'm saying the only reason you're scoring rounds for Lopez is because he's Lopez. That's got to be the only, because he was not winning these rounds. Kambosos was sweeping the middle rounds. I mean, just sweeping them. Each round, man, Teofimo was a sucker for that overhand right. I mean, Kambosos could not land it. He was landing it at will. And then that jab to the left hook, beautiful. That's a beautiful shot as well. He was landing those shots at will. And then he won the battle of the jab. Teofimo Lopez is the bigger guy with the longer reach. He's a good technical boxer, and he let Kambosos come in the fight and out-jab him. Why that's important is because the game plan clearly coming in was to get this guy out of there quick, get him out of there early. And you saw it when Teofimo Lopez ran to the ring, and then as soon as that bell rang, the opening bell rang, what did he do? He ran to the middle of the ring and threw a haymaker. And then he threw another one. And then he threw another one. And then he threw another one. The lack of respect that they had for Kambosos. And I keep going back to this. I dropped a video earlier in the week. I dropped a video on Twitter. I'm not going to take credit for predicting an upset because I didn't. I predicted Kambosos would give Teofimo a lot of problems up until about the later rounds, which is when it happened, when Teofimo lands a big shot that Kambosos walks into. But Teofimo did not follow up on that. He did not stay patient. He did not finish him, and it got him to where it got him tonight. It got him in trouble. Kambosos sent him to hell. But I predicted this trap fight, man. This is a trap fight. If ever there was a trap fight, this was it. This was it. Coming off the Lomachenko victory, and you're already talking about fights with Josh Taylor, Devin Haney, and this guy's looking at this. He's like, this guy's looking past me. He's looking past me. So you see him come out, throw the haymakers, and then Kambosos takes him easy, and you're like, oh, Teofimo's in trouble tonight. He's in trouble because Kambosos was putting on a boxing lesson on Teofimo. A boxing lesson. Tough night for Teofimo, man. Upset of the year. Clearly upset of the year. Lopez was looking for one big shot the whole fight. That's what I'm saying. Even when he had him hurt. Kambosos was out on his feet directly in front of Teofimo, was not trying to hold, could not use lateral movement because he had no legs, and Lopez still couldn't land a big shot because he was seeing red. He was just trying to load up on that right hand, and he kept barely missing. And each time he barely missed, Kambosos would get his legs back slowly but surely, and then he comes back in the 11th round and boxes the hell out of Teofimo. And then he comes back in the 12th round and not only boxed the hell out of him, but was winning exchanges. And I'm saying to myself, do not exchange with Teofimo. Don't do it. Don't do it. Throw the jab, double, triple up the jab. Do some smart boxing, volume punching in the 12th round. Win the round, but win it smartly. But no, Kambosos went out like a warrior, much like Lopez against Lomachenko. Beautiful boxing. The story of the night is going to be Lopez, his stock falling, his stock plummeting, coming back down to earth. But the story of the night to me really is Kambosos coming in and taking the fight to Lopez and backing up the words that he's been saying for a year now. He's been talking trash to Lopez for a year now, and he backed it up tonight. I knew he would lose the fight in round one. Round one was tough to watch. Lopez fight like an amateur. Fight like Butterbean out there. It was an amazing fight, man. And fight of the year candidate, right? It's right up there with Chocolatito Estrada for fight of the year. It's right up there, man. It's right up there with, to me, it's better than Charlo versus Castaño. It's right up there with Chocolatito Estrada for fight of the year. It may even be. I had it a draw. To me, a draw is a bit of a reach. 2 swing rounds, maybe you get it to a draw. I saw some people say 114, 130. I felt that scorecard for Teofimo. I just don't see how you can get to Teofimo winning this fight. I just don't. I don't. I had him winning the first. I think I had him winning the first 4 rounds. I only had Teofimo winning 1 out of the first 5, 1 of the first 6, maybe. What I have at 59, 54 through 6. So I had him winning 1 round, I believe. So I just didn't see it, man. I didn't see it. I thought Kambosos took the fight to Teofimo, and Teofimo just never. He had that one last hurrah. 8, 9, 10. He fought well. 10th round, I thought he had Kambosos out of there, but he just didn't finish. I hope after this fight, Teo changes trainers. I don't feel bad he lost. And it's all because of his dad. His dad was just giving him bad instructions all night. Teofimo Sr., man. And look, I don't have anything against Teofimo Sr. I know a lot of people do. I quite enjoy the trash talk going back and forth. I like all that stuff. It's good for building up fights. I just think he was a mess tonight. And Teofimo Jr. was an extension of his dad in the ring because he was a mess in the ring. He showed flashes of himself at times, 10th round in particular when he lands that big shot, but he's a great finisher, but he didn't show that in this fight because he had Kambosos out on his feet. And that was sloppy. That was as sloppy as him coming out in the first round and throwing the haymakers. I just think they had an awful game plan. And on top of that, what I talked about this week, the trap fight. Lomachenko, and you got Devin Haney or Josh Taylor over here. And sandwiched in between that, you've got this guy, Kambosos, that not too many people outside of hardcore boxing fans know. And I know hardcore boxing fans that didn't know much about this guy. D-Style was the first person to put Kambosos on my radar. This was 2 or 3 years ago. And then he started talking him up again when the mandatory started coming about. He said, do not look past this guy. So I got to give D-Style credit for that. Do not look past this guy. So the trap fight thing for me kept playing in my head because he was clearly looking past Kambosos. You could see it in the lead up to the fight. They were not focused on this fight. They were not focused for this fight. They were looking ahead. They were believing the hype. And, you know, it sounds cliche, but it's tougher to sustain being a real champion, than it is to win a real championship. It's like that in every sport. It's why the Patriots are special. The Lakers with Kobe were special. The Bulls in the 90s were special, is because it's tough to sustain that and take on all challengers after you win that. And it was frustrating to see Teofimo after the fight take the mic from Kambosos and said, I could have dropped those belts. Well, you should have dropped the belts then. Instead, you wanted the big deal with Triller. I mean, if you wanted to drop the belts, you should have dropped the belts. Teofimo is basically saying, I didn't have to fight you. I gave you a shot. I won the fight. Everybody knows I won the fight. No, everybody doesn't know you won the fight because you didn't win the fight. You didn't win the fight. If you wanted to drop the belts, you should have dropped the belts. Be a man and admit what happened tonight. What happened tonight is you look past Kambosos. And you don't look past Kambosos because Kambosos showed tonight that he's a hell of a fighter. And not only is he a hell of a fighter, he lives up to his nickname, the Spartan, the Warrior, the Emperor. He backs that up in the ring because he didn't have to exchange a lot of the fights, and he did. You had him on Queer Street. He stands right in front of you, does not hold, and you couldn't get him out of there. He goes back on his stool in between 10 and 11. He could have came out, gave up, but guess what he does? He wins rounds in 11 and 12. So I don't want to hear I could have gave up those belts. I don't want to hear I was weight drained. Look, man, if all that was the case, you should have moved up to 140. You should have moved up to 140. Biggest upset of the year and fight of the year. I can't complain with that at all, man. I can't debate against that at all. Chocolatito Estrada, if you go back and watch that one, that's up there. For me, up until tonight, that was number one. 1A, 1B. I go back and forth. This is up there, man. I can't complain with this being fight of the year. Upset of the year, definitely. Definitely. And you had some really good upsets early in the year, but this one tops it. This one tops it. I mean, he was a plus 600 betting underdog, Kambosos. Plus 600. Undervalued. Undervalued. This was trap fight written all over it. Unreal. Teofimo underestimated Kambosos. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. And even in a rematch, man, it's going to be tough for Teofimo. If he wants the immediate rematch, Kambosos says, look, you got to go to Australia. We can fight in front of 80,000. I'm now the biggest fighter in Australian history, he says. You got to come to Australia, fight me, 80,000. They got lockdowns in Australia. I don't know if that's going to happen. They're not letting anybody do anything in Australia, so I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but I don't know, man. That'd be a huge fight out there. if they do allow people to do stuff. Tio said he thought about suicide 3 times. I hope he doesn't fall into that dark depression. Hopefully, he has, and that's the thing too, man. I got to show respect for Kambosos for that as well, because even after all the bad blood, he goes to the corner, he talks to him. Even after Teofimo grabs the microphone from him, hijacks his interview, which was that was a bad look for Teofimo, because it's Kambosos' night. He won the fight. It's his night. Give him the mic. But he had that Kanye taking the microphone from Taylor Swift. Taylor's great, but Beyonce had the video of the year. He had one of those moments and takes the mic from him. But even after that, Kambosos shows respect and says, yeah, man, let that guy go. Let him go and spend time with his son. He hasn't seen his son yet. I'm a family man too. You got to show Kambosos respect for that. And look, boxing is boxing. You keep it in the ring. I wish nothing but the best for Teofimo Lopez in his personal life. I'm not one of those people, man. I don't wish bad on anybody, on nobody. But we're talking about in the ring. And in the ring, clearly, Teofimo in his camp, and it showed tonight in front of the whole world, is a mess right now. It's a mess. It's a mess. They need a complete overhaul in there. They said they spent $250,000 on this training camp. Where did it go? What did they spend it on? $250,000? What are they spending it on? The instructions in the corner from his dad were awful, terrible. He's losing each round by round. Each round goes by, Kambosos is putting another round in the bank. You can't count on, if you're the corner, you can't count on, oh, we're in our hometown now. We're in New York, so we're going to get the benefit of the doubt. You can't count on that. You got to call it like you see it. You got to be scoring the fight as if you're the judge in the corner. So if your fighter is in there losing round per round per round, and he comes back to the corner, sits down on the stool, and you tell him, we won that round. We won that round. If Teofimo got knocked down, what was that, the first or second round? And after he gets knocked down, he comes to the corner, and his dad tells him, go for the knockout. No, go for the knockout. Get this guy out of here. What? Get this guy out of here. We just got knocked down. We're getting hit with every single overhand right that our opponent is throwing. So how about this? How about we go back to the basics? How about we stay patient? How about we box? How about here's a crazy idea. How about we're the bigger fighter, longer range, better jab? How about we throw the jab? How about we double up the jab, triple up the jab, keep our fighter at bay, and then throw the right hand behind that? How about we set up the plate with some appetizers before we sit down and eat dinner? None of that. It was all, let's get this guy out of here. Let's knock him out. With what? What are we going to knock him out with? Follow up with some clear and concise instructions. What are we going to knock him out with? And that's what we didn't get in this fight. So Teofimo's listening to this in the corner and says, oh, he wants me to knock him out. Let's just go in there and knock him out. So he's throwing all kind of arm shots, being the lightweight 135-pound butterbean in there, throwing arm punches. And even when he had him out on his feet in front of, I still can't get over this, man. I still can't get over this. He had him out of there. He was out in the 10th round. Directly in front of him. He was not clinching. He had no legs to move back or move laterally. There was a time when he was trying to go in and clinch, and he couldn't clinch because he was falling on himself. And Teofimo was throwing arm punches to get Kambosos out of there, instead of touching, and setting up that right hand. Sloppy performance. That training camp had to have been sloppy. Had to have been. Horrible game plan. That's what I'm saying. Don Trella tried fixing another fight. Let's see. The difference tonight was the corners. Kambosos had a great corner and Teofimo had nothing but a booster squad. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. The corners, Kambosos had clear and concise instructions. Teofimo, chaos. Chaos. No clear instructions. Just constantly get this guy out of here, knock him out. This guy's a bum. This guy's ready to go. No, he's not a bum. He's not ready to go. And what are we going to do to knock him out? What do you want me to do technically? What do you want me to do? Precisely, what do you want me to do to get this guy out of here? It's not, let's just go to, let's get this guy out of here. Okay, what's instruction A, B, C, D to get me there? None of that. None of that. The great trainers, I remember Teddy Atlas saying this before, you give your fighter one clear instruction. That's all they can really compute. You got 1 minute to get to these guys. You give them their water, take the mouthpiece out, give them water. You deal with the cuts. And in between that time, you have enough time to give this guy one clear instruction. One clear instruction. And for Teofimo Sr., it was just knock this guy out. That's not clear, man. That's not good instruction. That's not a game plan. So to me, what he should have been saying, he should have went to the Jack Lowe telling Kelly Pavlik, double, triple up the jab. Remember Jack Lowe, the Kelly Pavlik, that seemed to be his only instruction, is the double, triple up the jab, which I understand why now. We used to make fun of him. It's Kelly Pavlik, we knew he had the right hand. He had to set it up with the jab. Looking back, that was smart instructions every round. Double, triple up the jab. And for Teofimo Sr., that should have been instruction for Teofimo Jr. because the bigger, rangier fighter, who is a good technical fighter, got out-jabbed by the shorter fighter tonight in Kambosos. Out-jabbed. Can't happen. Can't happen. Teofimo's dad is Ruben Garcia 2.0. The dad-son combination hasn't been doing well in boxing. Just hasn't been doing well. Terrible coaching. Game plan was horrible. He should work behind the jab. It's over for Teo. I don't know. I'm not ready to throw the dirt on his grave yet, man. He's young. What is he, 23? He's got a long way to go, man. A long way to go. A lot further in life than I was at 23. I could tell you that. So I'm not ready to go there yet. But I'll tell you what, they need a big overhaul on his team, big time. And the sad part is that's not going to happen. It's just not. The son is not going to fire the dad. It's not going to happen. Completely delusional. Chalk it up to being in shock. Let's see. He is a 3-year sparring partner of Pacquiao. Yes, he is. And Pacquiao gave him credit tonight on Twitter. This guy's got a lot of experience, and the KO percentage is deceiving. He's got a 52% KO percentage, 10 and 19, now 50% now, 10 and 20 fights. It's deceiving because as you saw tonight, he has some pop. I don't even think it was a shock. Lopez was an overhyped far. He was finally faced someone who was better. That's an interesting thing, man, is I don't necessarily agree with that because of Lomachenko. He beat Lomachenko, and I'm still of the impression that Lomachenko is a special fighter. Time will tell with that because Lomachenko is on his comeback tour. So time will tell how special Lomachenko really was or is. But I still give Teofimo Lopez for a special victory last year in how he did it and who he beat. That being said, like I said, number one, it's tougher to, when you have the crown, heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you have it, when you're the hunted, not everybody can handle that. Not everybody can handle being the hunted. When he was the hunter, it was a different mentality. Now that he's the hunted, not so much. He's on his heels. But it does bring up, this comment here does bring up an interesting, it's an interesting question because is Kambosos just better than Teofimo Lopez? Am I reading too much into this? Were the odds just terrible? Is Kambosos just a better fighter? Let's say Teofimo did have a great training camp. Maybe the Teofimo Lopez we saw tonight is Teofimo Lopez. He was just beat by a better fighter. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we're still not giving Kambosos the credit he deserves. I like that comment because it does make me think. Even playing field, even if Teofimo Lopez does not overlook Kambosos, which I still believe he did, but is Kambosos just a better fighter? If they fought 10 times, does Kambosos still win 8 of them? Hell, if the immediate rematch happens, now Teofimo Lopez knows who he's dealing with. Does Kambosos still win the rematch? Even if it's in New York again. Watching this fight tonight, man, I believe Kambosos wins the rematch. Incredible, man. It's an incredible night of boxing. And it goes back to what I always say about boxing. When they get it right, when boxing gets it right, there's nothing that could beat it. What was great about this fight is even as Kambosos is racking up round after round after round, these two guys were still throwing with bad intentions on pretty much everything. So you never got to that point where you say, okay, Kambosos is going to win this fight clearly, because there was always that one punch that Lopez continued to barely miss with. And then Kambosos is exchanging with him, which is crazy. And he's landing big shots that could knock out Teofimo Lopez as well. So it was great, especially early in the fight before they fully settled in. Because when they fully settled in a couple rounds in, that's when Kambosos got in his rhythm. And you say, okay, Kambosos just looks like the better fighter tonight. But before that, when there was chaos early because Teofimo came out the way he did, throwing haymakers right away, the first 3 or 4 rounds, every single punch that was thrown, you said to yourself, this fight could end at any second. I love fights like that. You just can't get comfortable. Can't get comfortable at any moment. Phenomenal. Just a phenomenal night. Let's see. Teofimo Lopez is buck broken Cali. Cherry pick gone wrong. Trap fight, man. Trap fight. Now you see why Teo ducked that Loma rematch. You know, I always thought, and I caught heat for this on HCP, I always felt that Lomachenko would win. I can't say that. I went back and forth on it. I just think that Lomachenko would have given, he just showed Teofimo too much respect early on in that first fight. And if the rematch played out, I just think Lomachenko would have fared a lot better than he did in the original fight. I always wanted to see the rematch. Now, it's not going to happen. Lopez definitely falling off the pound. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. He's falling off that pound. He's falling all the way off that pound for pound list. Teofimo fans gave Teo 6 points for the knockout. Teofimo was off tonight. Let's see later. Shout out Hawker Mustang. Teo didn't use the jab. That's right. Kambosos is a warrior. There's no doubt about that. Teo thought he was going to walk this fight. True. Kambosos versus Haney or Loma. Next go. That's what I'm saying, man. I kind of think that the immediate rematch isn't going to happen. Haney fights next week. If Haney beats Jojo Diaz, which is a big if. Once again. I saw Haney make a comment on Twitter about let's get this done for all the belts. Handle your business first. If there is a lesson for tonight, handle your business first before you look forward to the next fight. Handle your business. If you're Devin Haney, think about Jojo Diaz night and day for the next week. Do not even think about Kambosos. Do not even talk about it. Somebody ask you a question about it? No, I'm focused on Jojo Diaz. Do not look past Jojo Diaz, because just like Kambosos, the KO percentage is deceiving. This guy's going to get in your chest. He's a volume puncher who is not afraid of anything. So we could have Kambosos versus Jojo Diaz next year if Devin Haney looks past Jojo Diaz. I'm telling you. World-class fight. Congrats to Kambosos. And let's not get lost in that, man. That's exactly right. World-class fight. Great fight. Arguably fight of the year. Props to both fighters. As messy, as chaotic, as sloppy as Teofimo was tonight, still a warrior. Still a warrior. Got to give him that. The dad needs to step down. Yeah. Fight of the year. Yeah. 4 princes can hail the emperor. He did say that. And once again, man, I hope the dad does step down, and he won't. But I think that's the right play because Teofimo definitely needs new instructions in the corner. And you got to give the dad credit. Look, this isn't all bashing his dad. You got to give the dad credit for bringing him to this point. There's no doubt about it. But they need an overhaul, man. They just do. Let's get down to these comments, fresher comments. I comment on your video, King, ago, but Teo being tagged up by Loma because he don't block his head. He was getting caught by overhand rights by Lomachenko too, later in the fight when Lomachenko woke up. And same thing tonight. He just could not block. He was holding that left hand way too low, and he was in there with a guy with who was deceptively quick and was throwing that overhand right and landing it. Disappointed in Teo. That's right, man. Shout out to Run PMC, Trivia King. Power Punchers is back Wednesday night, man. Power Punchers is back. Wednesday night at 9. Y'all make sure to tune in. Wednesday night at 9 Central. Power Punchers. The weekly podcast is back. Me and D-Style. And we'll be talking about this, I'm sure. Teofimo is a better fighter, but Kambosos is good. I'm not so sure Teofimo is the better fighter. I know for sure he looked back past Kambosos. There's no doubt about that this was a trap fight. And more on that in follow-up video tomorrow. But I'll tell you what. I'm not so sure Teofimo wins the rematch. Kambosos looks, I don't know, man. He just looked better to me tonight. As crazy as that sounds, Kambosos looked like the better fighter tonight. It's not over for Teo. We'll see. Shout out Boxing Historian too, man. I enjoyed being on a podcast with him the other night on the round table with D-Style Boxing. Great channel. Please go make sure to check him out as well. That we'll see. We'll see. And there'll be a lot of talk about that too. I see people digging Teo's grave. It's way too early. Look, and that's the thing too. I always preach about that on this channel is it's okay to lose fights. It's okay to lose in life. Look, the only way you grow is through failure in life. Boxing is like life in general. You have to grow through failure. So we can't just throw guys away after one loss and just say exposed. We can't do that. You know, the stocks go up and down. Teofimo's stock we see now was a little too high, and we need to bring it down. But we can't just throw the guy out and say he's exposed. We'll see what happens in 2022 when he comes back. We'll start to put that picture together. Was it just a bad night? Is he just not as good? They did the same thing with Lomachenko last year. And in my opinion, in a couple weeks, he's going to put together another great win like he did over the summer, and he's going to have this comeback tour. So we can't just – that's one thing that the UFC does better than us is the fans don't throw fighters away after losses. I see guys in title fights, 5, 6, 7 losses that the fans still respect as great champions. And we need to do that in boxing as well, or these guys are just not going to take any risks. The tough part for Teofimo Lopez is this wasn't supposed to be a risk. This was supposed to be an easy fight for him. Just tough night, man. Tough night for him. Teo needs new trainer, point blank, period. I agree. Teofimo's dad said they're going to forget you, bro. Not surprised he won. I can't say I'm very surprised either. I just thought that George Kambosos was going to give Teofimo a lot of trouble through the first half of the fight, and then he was eventually going to walk into something late in the fight, which ended up happening. But to Kambosos' credit, he came back from that and won the last 2 rounds and won the fight. So props to him, man. I'm going to end this thing off tonight. Look out for more videos because I got a lot of stuff still to talk about from this fight. This was just off the top of the dome tonight, but I'll break down the fight even more and we'll talk more. Y'all have a great night, man. George Kambosos, the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. Shocking development in boxing. God bless.